I'm sorry if this is annoying. I can't stop thinking about it, and for some reason, I feel more secure venting it to strangers rather than people who know me and can judge me more in depth. I won't lie, I have been suspecting that my fiancé was having an affair, but I didn't have any solid evidence to accuse him. Even then, I had a feeling that I didn't want to dig any deeper because I was scared in case what I was suspecting was true. 12 days ago, I came home from visiting my mom's, and I headed upstairs to wake my fiancé, as he had a habit of sleeping in way past 2 p.m. and then complaining that I didn't wake him. I opened the door, and all I saw was my practically exposed sister rushing to try and get out of a piece of clothing that belonged to me. I don't know how to explain it, but my mind just went blank, like whatever I was thinking about beforehand suddenly disappeared. You know when you stand up too fast, and your head just gets a little dizzy? That's what I felt, alongside the feeling of sickness brewing in my stomach. All I could do was stand there, looking at the two people I trusted most, and they looked more shocked than I felt. My fiancé jumped out of bed and suddenly came up with excuses. It was an accident, I was lonely and needed relief, etc. I guess this is where I should note my best friend took her own life 2 weeks ago. The girl I knew for over 15 years was suddenly out of my life, and even though I'm surrounded by people, I've told my fiancé about how alone, devastated, and guilty I feel that I couldn't have done anything to help her. I just left. I didn't take my car because, at that point, my eyes were about to start flooding. I walked to a friend's place and confided in her about what happened. The amount of grief I felt from not only losing my best friend, but also losing my relationships with my fiancé and sister within the same 2-week period is overwhelming. Now that I'm sitting down to write this, I don't know if any of these relationships will ever be mended or could ever go back to the way they were. I don't understand why my sister, of all people, would do this. There was never any favoritism toward any of us for her to feel spite. I have never intentionally tried to hurt her. I gave her shelter when she had no place to go, and despite her not paying a single penny, I bought her food that she liked. I even made sacrifices in my own home for her. She kept ranting about how our living room's white walls gave her a headache, so I took time out of my day to paint them a nice gray color. My fiancé too, I gave that man everything. I was willing to have kids with him despite always wanting to be child-free. I was going to start a family just to make him happy. I provided him comfort whenever something bad happened, spent hours watching unfunny movies that he seemed to find hilarious, and I even gave him a locket with our anniversary photo in it. These last few days, I've gone from sadness to being angry, then disgusted, and it's a constant cycle I haven't been able to get out of. There are moments when I go to do something but automatically lose interest. Even during dinner, I don't know how to explain it properly as I've never felt this way, but I'm bored of eating. I have to physically force myself to eat something, and I have no idea what's going on in my body at this very moment. For some reason, it feels as if I've gone into hibernation. I sleep almost 17 hours a day now, and even for the rest of those hours, I'm still tired and force myself to stay awake. Both of them asked to meet up on Wednesday. My sister's exact message was, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but can you meet me in fiancé's name? We want to talk, and we want you to properly hear us out. The situation you found us in was not the most ideal situation to put you in a good headspace to talk about it right there and then. Please let us explain. I love you, and you're my sister, and I don't want to lose you, please. I think it's too late. It was too late from whenever this affair started or even when you started getting desires for my fiancé. I miss my sister, but according to what I saw, the sister I miss and whoever my sister is now are not the same person. I haven't talked to anyone yet except the one friend I'm currently staying with at the moment. I'm scared I'll be seen as a failure of a future wife, but now I don't even think I want to be a wife anymore. I guess I'd rather share with strangers than people who know me personally. I apologize again. Update 1. Hi everyone, it's been a year and a month since I last posted, and I honestly forgot about this account until the friend I was staying with, let's just call her Alice, sent me a TikTok where one of those AI voices reads a Reddit post, and you'd never guess whose post it was reading. Mine, lol. I wanted to log back in to thank the people who showed me more kindness than the people I was supposed to trust and also the people who seemed interested in my life. I can't blame them. When I read something with some drama, I also become invested. So, I'll start with myself. I got into therapy and began taking care of myself, focusing solely on my well-being. When I entered my relationship with my ex, I hadn't noticed how much time I spent taking care of him, neglecting myself and my needs. It was one of those relationships where you don't notice the faults until you leave and become a sort of spectator of what the relationship actually was. I think part of me was so invested in believing he was a good guy because past relationships had hurt me before, that I tried very hard to hold on to the idea that I had finally found someone who was different. Loving the wrong person can lead to devastating consequences, and I just happened to do that exact thing. Whenever I had seen stories before about people staying with their cheating partner, I was so quick to criticize how stupid that would be and thought, what did you expect, when they cheat again? But now that I've been through that, it was eye-opening. It's not easy to just up and leave behind someone you had invested so much love, time, and effort into. Yes, you can lose all love for that person in seconds, but you never lose the feeling of the love you felt before, if that makes sense. After I found out, I did want to try and work it out for many reasons, but through the help of my therapist, she helped me realize that I wanted to stay because after I lost my best friend, he was the only thing that felt familiar in the moment. Everyone is growing up and moving away in my life, and I was in a position where I felt so alone, but to expect people not to change is to not allow growth. They moved out of my house, and I moved back in. I won't lie, it was lonely. I was so used to other voices in my home that it felt empty, but an empty room is open to hundreds of ideas, in my opinion. I redecorated with the help of friends and some family. Even though I had lost 2 people thanks to them, I was able to make memories that I'll cherish. I won't try to cover up that before I got therapy, I was indeed a wreck. I was just so tired of disappointment from my ex that the cheating was the final blow that knocked me back into reality. My sister's betrayal hurt way worse because we share the same parents, we used to share bunk beds, and without my knowledge, we shared the same partner. But I owe them thanks for allowing me to remove people who clearly had no good intentions. I will always love my sister, even though I don't want to. But sometimes there are strings attached to people that just can't be cut, and she is one of them. I'll never welcome her into my home again, but I'll answer the phone if she's at her lowest. Even though she was a snake in my garden, it doesn't mean she's not my sister. She did try to call a couple of weeks after she had moved out, and at first, I was angry at her. I honestly just wanted to hit her with everything I had, but when I answered and heard her voice, I just felt sorry for her. Everyone in my family knew how terrible she was, and just for some pleasure, she ruined the last relationship that was trying to help her. I just think she's a very self-destructive person who will never learn. They were constantly staying at different friends' houses because they couldn't afford to rent anywhere. My sister is apparently cheating on my ex with random people, and none of them can hold down a job. I would say karma, but it's just sad. My ex traded someone who became a pushover for him, someone who gave him everything she could, for someone who couldn't give a damn about him. I wish them well. I deserve better than that, and I just hope that one day they grow up and become better people than who they are right now. My family no longer talks to my sister, so she's on her own. Some things I hear about her remind me of just a confused child. However, I did see her on New Year's Eve. My friends and I went clubbing, because why not, and we unintentionally ran into her. At first, I tried to ignore her and just pretend I didn't see her, but she ended up coming up to me and tried to talk to me as if nothing happened. As the ex-partner, I wanted to slap her, but as her sister, I wanted to hug her and ask her why she did it, but I did neither, and just left. After we removed labels of sister or her partner's ex or whatever, we share the same DNA, and that will always be the thing that connects us. As for my dating life, I'm currently seeing someone and have been since November 2023. I deserve happiness, and I deserve a lot more than what my ex gave me. However, I'm still dealing with issues from that relationship that have me in moments of guilt for not giving my full trust. I'm happy that he understands and listens to me when I have concerns, but I don't want to constantly live with issues I carry because of someone else. We're taking it slow, and he always reassures me. He's a good guy, and I'm happy he's in my life. I will find my peace with the situation eventually, but I'll have to work to get to that point, and that's okay. Sorry for the ramble, but this is still sort of a vent post. I have a lot of mixed emotions that I haven't been able to untangle. Thank you to everyone who listened, reached out, and gave advice. I appreciate that so much, and I hope everyone had a good new year. Relevant comment. I'm curious how the meeting with your parents went, or if you ever ended up meeting the both of them for her BS excuses. Not that it matters, I'm glad you are better and moving on. I did tell my parents, and the conversation was really hard for me. They were furious, but it was obvious by how my dad was responding to things I was saying that he was much more angry at my sister than my mom, which I understand since he came from a broken home due to his father's infidelity. My mom wanted to go low contact at first because she didn't want to outright cut off her daughter, and I understood, but I didn't tell them the truth with the intent that she be cut off. I did let them know that all I wanted from the conversation was an understanding that I will not be in the same room, never mind the same building, as her at the same time. My dad did call me one evening to let me know that my sister and my ex showed up for a surprise dinner and gave a sob story about how things happen. The funniest thing they said was, sometimes people fall in love with the wrong person to meet the right one, said by the woman who currently cheats on the man she supposedly loves. My sister did get fully cut off after she got caught stealing from my aunt's house. She was supposed to babysit and stole all sorts of things like electronics and my nephew's stuff. As for meeting up with them, I did not. I decided that at the time, it would not help me at all to meet up with them, and I'm just assuming they wanted to try and clear their guilty conscience. I do get occasional messages from random accounts on social media from them, but I've chosen to ignore them and stop focusing on something I know will only hurt me in the future.